Now we are going to look at the small signal model of the BJT and MOSFET, which is slightly more difficult than that of the diode. If you recall, the small signal model of a diode is just a resistor, R. Today we will look at the small signal models for the BJT and MOSFET. First, let's start by looking at the BJT small signal model. We will use this type of circuit to analyze and derive the equations to develop the small signal model for the BJT. We have already tried to find the operating point, right? We can find it by removing the small signal components, VBE. This part is 0.7 volts, right? And this VC is equal to VCC, right? IC times RC, right? Because the polarity that occurs across the RC resistor is like this. So this VC is equal to VCC minus IC times RC, which is the voltage drop, right? But when we design, we have to try to make sure that this VC is greater than or equal to 0.3 volts, right? Because we need the BJT to operate in the region called active mode, acting like a relatively constant current source that depends on this VBE voltage. Now let's take a moment to look at the small signal model in more detail. It basically tells us that when a small AC signal is added to the existing DC VBE voltage, it causes the AC collector current to change in response. The waveform itself remains the same. We know that the IC equation can be written out as follows, consisting of VBE, which is actually a combination of both DC and AC components, right? So we can separate it into two distinct terms like this, correct? And do you remember that this specific term is actually the bias current? It comes out as this IC value, which is what we are interested in. This is a fundamental concept in understanding how these circuits behave under small signal conditions. And we say that this VBE value must be very small. If it is much smaller than VT, the exponential equation can be expanded like this. I'm not entirely sure if you remember this specific detail, but for the exponential of x here, if x is close to, well, let's say very close to 0. Now, when we say close to 0, that really means a very small value, right? In that specific case, it can be expanded to be approximately equal to 1 plus x. And just to be clear, this x value is defined as VBE divided by VT. You can see here that VT is much greater than VBE, so that the value approaches 0. This is an approximation, right? So we'll approximate it, and it comes out to this value. We can see that when we multiply it through, we get the DC current, which is the operating point, and this part here becomes the AC current. Therefore, we will create a new variable, IC over VT, which we call transconductance. As you can see, current equals conductance multiplied by input voltage, right? So it's a variable called transconductance. Trans refers to the transfer, meaning from input to output. This is the output current, right? VBE is the input, so it's transconductance. Conductance is the reciprocal of R. So we get that this GM is equal to IC divided by VT. You can see that this is the reciprocal of R, right? Because it's current divided by voltage. After that, we know the relationship between the base current and the collector current, IC. And we can use beta because we have to ensure that the BJT is in the active region, right? That's when we can use beta. And we know that IC consists of two parts, right? Like the DC and AC parts above, so we just substitute the values in. We can see that this is the DC base current. But this part here is the AC base current. So we get that this AC signal base current is equal to this value. And now we will define it. We will define it by saying that if the circuit is connected in this manner, with the emitter connected to ground, and we look into it, the voltage drop is VBE, right? There is a base current IB flowing in, which means there is a resistance value here, which we define as RP, this one, right? So from these variables, and we say that we define RP as VBE divided by IB, we will get various equations showing that RP is equal to beta divided by GM. And we also say that GM is equal to IC divided by VT. This is GM, right? GM is right here, isn't it? And we also say that beta divided by IC is IB, right? So for these parts, how should we remember them? We remember that mostly the ones that are used frequently are RP equals beta divided by GM, and RP equals VBE divided by IB. We use these two quite a lot. You might be a bit confused here. This is a circuit method. Suppose we have an input voltage, right? And there's a current flowing through it. We treat this device as a black box. We don't know what it is, whatever it may be. We can call this a black box. If we want to know the resistance value of these things, we can input a voltage, find the current flowing in, right? Divide them, and that will be the input impedance of this black box. It could be any device, we don't know. This is also one way to find the model, right? You will need to memorize what the equation for this RPI is for these parts. After that, it's not over yet. Let's look at the emitter current. The emitter is related to IC like this, right? And if you rearrange the form, you will see that it's a DC, an operating point. One is the changing current of IE, another type. And from this definition, it's the same as well. The voltage drop here is equal to VBE, right? We say that if we connect the base pin to ground, IE looking into this point will be equal to the definition, VBE divided by IE. So it comes out with these variables. What you need to remember is this part and this part. So go ahead and take a look. It's not difficult to see where these equations come from. You don't really need to pay much attention to this part since alpha is already very close to 1, but normally we need to calculate the values for IC, ID, and IE entirely. I've seen in the device course that many people just assume it's 1 and don't calculate the ID current, which is not correct. So once we have the model, we're looking from the emitter side, it comes out as an R, and looking from the base side, it also comes out as an R. Because if we remember, right, this base and emitter must be forward biased. Is that correct? It's just a diode after all. It comes out looking from this side, and this side is R, which isn't wrong, right? Yeah. So let's take a look. And from this R, it will be related, right? Related through what? Because this VBE has the same value, right? It means VBE is equal to IE times RE, and also equal to IB times RPI, which is at the base pin. After that, we use these equations, right? Rearranging the terms, you can see that RPI is equal to IE divided by IB, then multiplied by RE. And we know that IE and IB are related in the active region, right? They are related like this. Do you remember? IE is equal to what? Beta plus 1 times IB. Don't forget, this is a small signal, right? Whether it's bias, operating point, or small signal. The relationship in the active region is the same. Therefore, the relationship is exactly the same. And if anyone here can't quite remember the details, right? If you don't happen to know that this specific value is IC plus IB, right? And what exactly is it? It's beta IB plus ID, right? So when you put all of that together, it naturally comes out as the equation we wrote above. So once we have successfully identified and calculated the specific operating point for our circuit, we can clearly observe that this particular operating point serves as the foundational basis, effectively determining every single one of the key variables and parameters that are essential for constructing our small signal model. Do you remember that VT divided by IE, where IE is the operating point? The current flowing through RPI is VT divided by IB, which is the base current at the operating point. This is the reason why we need to bias. And it's also to show how they are connected, that the operating point and the small signal model are linked together. After that, once we have all the models, we can then write it as a small signal model. From the circuit we have here, you can see that this is DC, right? And this is also a DC voltage. But the DC voltage, well, since it is, how should I put it? Let's say it this way. If we draw a picture, let this be the voltage. This is time, right? It says the VBE voltage, right? This power source, you know. How do we think it looks? It should be a straight line, right? Because there is no change. It's D, D, DC. And what about VCC? It also comes out as a straight line, correct? We don't know what the values are, these voltage sources, in the range we call small signal, which is where there is a change. Suppose there is a change, this one goes in, a sine wave goes in. Do we think this VBE will change? It won't change because it's a constant power source, right? It's DC. Therefore, in the small signal range, all voltages will have a value of 0, right? If we consider the small signal model, because when we consider the small signal model for all these devices, we have to replace every one of them with a small signal model. This small signal analysis is already a small signal one. Does this one have any changes? There are no changes, right? Therefore, in small signal analysis, this VB is 0. A voltage of 0 means what? A short circuit, right? And for VCC, does this one have any changes? There are no changes. In a small signal model, we are only interested in signals that change. Therefore, this VCC is also 0. 0 means a short circuit. A short circuit to what? It's a short circuit to ground, because normally, when we connect these circuits, we usually, this is labeled as VCC, right? It's connected in this manner, correct? Right? We're drawing it in a simplified way here, just indicating the voltage. This is a short circuit. How is it shorted? It's shorted to ground, right? And this one, how is it shorted? It's also shorted to ground. Therefore, when we draw out the small signal model, it looks exactly like this, right? We are left with the AC source that changes. We are left with the R that changes according to the changing current. And this one is still RC as before. The VBE from earlier is shorted to ground, and VCE is also shorted to ground. And what about a current source? A current source would be an open circuit, right? If it's a current source, let's say there is a DC current source, right? If we draw the reference axis back up, let's call this I1. This I1 has a constant value, right? And if there are changes in the circuit inside here, since this is a constant source, there is no change, right? Since there is no change here, the small signal is equal to 0 because it doesn't change. A current equal to 0 effectively means an open circuit, right? So following that logic, the small signal here will also be treated as an open circuit. It goes like this because in small signal analysis, we are essentially looking at the behavior of the circuit around a specific operating point. When the current is 0, there is no path for the signal to flow through, which is the definition of an open circuit condition. Since this value is equal to 0 and I1 is also equal to 0, right? So I really hope that you all now have a much clearer understanding of the fundamental reasons why, when we are performing DC analysis, we treat voltage sources as being shorted to ground, while current sources are treated as being open circuited. It is a crucial concept to grasp for circuit simplification. Let's take a look at this, but usually we don't just write it like this. We will write right now we have replaced all components with the small signal model, leaving only the BJT, right? So we replace the BJT with the first model, which we call the hybrid pi model. It looks like this, right? Earlier we said that looking into the base terminal with the emitter connected to ground, we see RPI, right? And the current IC depends on the voltage VBE, which is the voltage across this RPI itself. So this is what we call the hybrid pi model. For the hybrid pi model, if it's a PNP transistor, you can use the same model as well, which is connected in this circuit configuration. This is because this VBE changes, causing the IC current to change, right? And all the variables in the small signal can be calculated from these equations. You can see that they are connected, right? This is the voltage that the base current causes IC to increase. The gain increases, IB increases, and RPI decreases, right? And if you remember, I've shown this graph before. Here, we can see that the current isn't entirely constant, right? It increases little by little because if we look closely, it's not a straight line. Since it's not a straight line, what kind of graph is this? It's IC versus VCE. That means there is a resistor in parallel with the current source at the terminals, specifically the collector and emitter terminals. We will discuss these cases later on. So this means if we include RO in the BJT's small signal model, ρ will be located between the collector and the emitter, which is ρ. I remember I've already mentioned this in the device course, right? It turns out to be equal to this value. It also depends on the base current or the operating point, right? VA. This is the early voltage, which typically has a value in the hundreds or higher. Now that we have everything in place, right? We have identified the key parameters, RPI, RE, and also RO, all of which are essential components within the BJT small signal model. And it is important to note that besides this specific model we have just discussed, there is actually another distinct model that we need to consider as well. One is called the T model. Historically speaking, the T model came first and the pi model came later. When we perform analysis, we can use either the T model or the pi model. It just depends on which model we choose that will help make our analysis easier. You can take a look at this yourself. I won't go into how this pi model is converted into this T model. But what you need to remember is that this is the pi model and this is the T model. The T model is, the base is not connected to a resistor, it's the emitter that is connected to the resistor, which is RE here. The voltage drop across this point is VPI. We will change this from VBE, right? We'll rename it to VPI, and this is also VPI here. And what is the value of VPI? It's RE multiplied by IE, which equals RPI multiplied by IB. And the dependent current source is GMVPI. This is to summarize that on this page. The hybrid pi and T models look like this. You'll probably need to help each other memorize this because we will use it to analyze the properties of BJT amplifier circuits. We'll be using this for all our analyses. Sometimes we'll use the hybrid pi model and sometimes the T model, depending on which one makes the analysis easier for us. You'll need to memorize these various variables as well. In the hybrid pi model, there's RPI and GM, which have the same values. And in the T model, it's RE. So R is easy to remember, right? It's the thermal voltage divided by IB for the hybrid pi model. And for the T model, it's the thermal voltage divided by IE, because we are looking into the emitter now. RPI and RE are related in this way.